Well, as I said earlier, we have Carl and Sue here today from the United Board, and we're going to talk about what's going on in M&C and a few other things as well, right?
Right, exactly.
All right, welcome.
Welcome, thanks a lot, Ken. And Sue's here with me to address some of the solar power plant task force issues that have come up. We had our meeting on August 28th, and we had a good meeting where we reviewed the project log that provides updates on the various major projects. Right now, the project log is about 6 or 7 pages, so there's a lot of activities going on with that. We also addressed the changes that we're in the process of making to the Solar Task Force report, which Sue's committee, or actually task force, put together, and I was part of it. And that was issued last M&C meeting. And then in addition, the VMS M&C director reviewed with us the repairs that are being made to various structures due to aging and due to water damage. I have some photos that I will go over with you and the audience in a minute. I'd first like to address the project log and the budgets associated with those projects and the operating budget for maintenance and construction itself. I made the following opening remarks were made at the M&C meeting, and I'd like to go over them because I think they are specifically applicable with regard to our M&C committee. We have not yet voted on the budget for next year. However, many people have heard that we are contemplating an increase that may be in excess of $20 per month. This is still being addressed. It is a matter of course, just by the nature of things, that M&C and landscaping are major consumers of that budget. Obviously, I can only speak to M&C and its needs as identified in the project log, indicated here, and in addition to that, there's an M&C operating budget, which goes beyond the project log. Some people say that if we were more efficient or if we had better customer feedback, we would not need to increase the assessments this year. To them, I ask the question, has the cost of all the commodities and utilities you purchase outside the village gone down, or have they gone up? I would venture to guess that they have not gone down. The cost of living in Orange County is one of the highest in the country, and it affects what it costs to live here in Laguna Woods Village. We are not immune to cost increases, even though some people feel that we are insulated in this community because it costs less to live here with all our amenities than it does in the surrounding areas. Our infrastructure is 50+ years old, and it needs to be fixed and improved. Many of the items on the project log reflect infrastructure problems: fencing replacement, painting, dry rot repair, roofing, piping repair, electrical replacement and repair, gutter replacement and repair, termite infestation, and road work, just to mention a few. These are not nice to have items, these are need to have items. Oh, and by the way, we have implemented and continue to implement systems to make us more efficient and provide for better customer feedback so that we can eventually achieve 0 callbacks. However, we are not perfect and therefore mistakes are made. Even Verizon, AT&T, and others do not get it right the first time. But suffice it to say that our record is getting better month by month. Our reports indicate that we are getting better each month. United is trying to spend our budgeted money wisely. I challenge anyone that is out there that if they can spend the money more wisely than our board, then that person should run for the board and that person can take my seat. I'll give it up. We are all doing the best that we can to keep costs down. There is always someone that can come up with a short-sighted idea that is either not based in fact or will eventually cost us twice as much in the future. That is penny wise, pound foolish. But that is not the way it should be done, and I personally do not agree with those ideas. An example of an item that is short-sighted or based on erroneous information or uninformed is the issue that has been brought up that we can purchase a dishwasher in a local store that is cheaper than the amount that was shown in the 2019 budget. Not the 2020 budget that we're addressing right now, but 2019, last year's budget. First of all, a budget is an estimate based on info we had at the time the budget was developed. For the item in question, it was pointed out that the 2019 budget showed a cost of $649. Yet you could purchase that item in a local DIY store for $150 less. However, it was never mentioned that the DIY store price did not include for the installation, parts for the install, and a permit that was required by the city at the time of the entry into the budget. The DIY store price did not contain any of those items, and it also does not include the haul-away costs. Do not be fooled by people that say things without any facts to back them up. And the second item that we wanted to get into here is the fact that the Solar Power Plant Task Force issued at the last MNC meeting was the Solar Power Plant Task Force report that was issued at the last meeting and it was part of the agenda that was presented at the MNC meeting. It was identified and it was written down and it was a matter of record. Since its publication and its issuance at the last MNC meeting, certain people have come forward and taken issue with some of the items mentioned in that report. First, let me say that the report was generated to review our solar power plant that provides energy to our laundry facilities, and also some of that generated energy we sell back to SCE. This power plant was envisioned as an electrical cost-saving enterprise for United, since the cost of electricity is going up every year, and the cost of electricity is not cheap in Orange County. The task force took on this review to determine if our solar power plant was doing what it was intended to do, and to determine if there was something that we could be doing to make it better for the future. The report was intended to determine the history of its implementation and determine if its current management could be improved. As a part of the process for determining the history of its implementation, we found that some of the history was not documented, and so the report, as currently published, was based on doing a lot of searches and asking questions. When we published the report, we thought we had all the areas covered. However, since then it has come to light that some of the published information was inaccurate, and as a result of these inaccuracies, we were laying blame for mistakes that may have been made. First off, laying blame was not the intent of the report, and some of the inferred mistakes were not correct due to the inaccurate information on which they were based. To correct any inaccuracies, we are revising the report. Therefore, the report that was part of the MNC agenda in our Wednesday meeting is in the process of being revised, so wait until the new corrected report is issued before you question its contents. Once we were informed that the solar report may contain some inaccuracies, and inaccurate information rather, we were also informed that Sue Margolis, the chair of the Solar Power Plant Task Force, who's sitting right next to me right now, had made some inaccurate comments regarding the report when she was last here on TV6. She would like to set the record straight for some of that information at this particular point in time. Sue?
When I was on July 6th, I was reporting on what facts we had, and many more facts have come to light, and we're going to go and do the revision as Carl said. One of the real inaccuracies I said, and I'm sorry, mea culpa, was that it cost $30 million, and nowhere near that. We could have lighted up all of Orange County for that money. It was less than $3 million spent on solar panels. The report, the things that we found and repaired are totally correct, and we did take care of a lot of problems that we found with the solar panels. Some of the inaccuracies were in the history and the documentation of the system. It was not in what was wrong with the system, and we have repaired a lot of things, and things are working a lot better now.
All right.
We will continue to survey them.
So one of the other things that we went through at our meeting was the certain things that we need to repair in our community, and obviously with the 50-year age, it's just getting more and more prevalent, okay? These things that are repaired and everything on the project log, okay, is actually in the reserve budget. It's not in the operating budget because these are projects, okay? And each project has got a certain time period and a certain budget assigned to it and what have you. So with regard to and these are basically things that we are proactively addressing. However, there are things within the community that we have to react to because these are problems that arise that were unknowns at the time. So with regard to the reserves, some of the reserves are used to address issues that were not budgeted on a reactive basis, like it had been sustained, like if we had sustained major damage from some event and our insurance will not cover any and all of that work, okay, then we will need to cover it some way, okay? And some of these things, as is noted in the photos that I showed, okay, and I guess they're very small, okay, so maybe we can't see them all. But in any case, in situations where we find unsafe conditions, like was indicated in these photos, where a wall was buckling because of water damage or just due to age or due to or the shifting of the earth itself,
Yeah.
okay? You have a situation, you don't know that this is going to happen. You built it this way 50 years ago, what have you, okay? And then over time, things happen, okay?
Yeah.
So as a result of that, we don't want to create an unsafe condition. Now, I mentioned one of these things that's on here right now, okay, is a wall that when I was doing my walking, okay, I happened to see that this wall was sort of buckling, where it was not up and down. You should see that it's sort of like at an incline, okay? So if you see that, you should really say something and contact our people at Resident Services, okay, to inform them of that so that somebody can actually take care of that. So the fact that we're doing reactive work on some of these items, okay, means that we should have a reserve that is hefty. Now, it shouldn't be overblown, it should be adequate. And so as a result of that, I personally feel, as a board member, that the reserves are okay. Some other people feel that we have it too inflated. I'm not going to go into the details right now because this is on M&C. But under the circumstances right now, I feel that it's adequate for what we need to do with those reserves. And these particular photos show reactions to these particular things. Next year, we are going to be proactive with regard to these things, whereby we are going to put into effect things on putting more gutters in, because what happens is some of these roofs do not have gutters. The water cascades onto the ground. It caused water damage at the foot of the thing, okay, and it then starts to undermine foundations and what have you. It's not a good thing.
Right.
Some of our gutters do not have enough capacity in them, so I mean they look like teacups, okay, if you look at them, okay. They're not really, today they've got these really 5-inch and 7-inch gutters, okay, that actually provide for a lot more water, okay, and some of the storms that we have here, I used to live in Texas for 22 years. We used to have Texas thunderstorms. Over here we don't have them as bad, but so we get some downpours that are pretty sufficient. So the water damage is extensive, so we're trying to address that as part of our proactive program. On the project log for next year, we've allocated some budget to take care of some of these things. So we're working in a reactive way with our reserve funds and a proactive way with the project log and the various other activities we have. So, as I said before, people can complain about certain things, but actually ask the people that are involved in some of these activities, okay, and get a couple of feedback items from them, because sometimes people don't get the full information out to the public.
Yeah, and you bring up some very good points, like these walls here. They were put in 50 years ago, and even by today's standards, they probably wouldn't even be put in.
Exactly.
Not even the way they were, but certain things nowadays we just don't do, little decorative things like that.
If you look
Well,
at one of the
footings aren't sufficient.
Yeah,
if you look at one of those photos, you'll see that the anchor bolt, there's a pedestal for a column, okay, and the anchor bolt that anchors that column to the footing, okay, is actually completely
I think it's
right here.
Yeah.
It's showing completely.
Right.
Okay, it's completely spalled away from the concrete. The concrete is no longer there, so the anchor bolt is sitting in midair.
Right.
And it's on the TV now.
Yeah, that's scary.
That's a scary situation.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, that's only one, okay? if the pedestals for that particular building, okay, if all of them were like that, then we'd have a problem. There's only one, and most of the time when the structural engineers build these buildings, they have factors of safety of 2, 3, or 4,
Right,
okay?
yeah.
So under the
Yeah.
circumstances, we're not saying that the building's gonna fall down. Don't anybody get scared now, okay? We're saying that if we don't take care of these things, then there are other footings in that building could possibly see the same thing.
Yeah.
So we have to inspect them next year. We're going to do inspections, and we're going a lot more inspections, and then we're going to fix them as we see problems.
Right, right. Okay, that's a lot.
Yes,
and it's
it
a
is.
lot to.
And it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
okay?
but it is what it is.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
but you know, a lot of people are very much upset over the fact that assessments go up. And you know, I'm on a fixed income. I'm retired also. Okay, I'm paying the same thing as everybody else.
Yeah.
So.
And, you know, we've all gone through this who own homes before. I just had to replace a fence that goes around our pool.
Right.
Did I want to do that? Did I want to
No.
spend the money? But it's been there for so many years. It's getting a little rusty. I got to do it before it falls down. So
Exactly.
it's the same thing on a smaller scale, but it's the exact same thing.
So I mean, we definitely need to take care of these things here in the village, okay? And unfortunately, it's not cheap. Not
No.
here in Orange County, it's not cheap.
No.
So
That's for sure.
that's it.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank
Sue,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Long reach. Take
Yeah.
care. We'll be right back. You know.